Okay, Jorge versus Colby. So this is not a confirmed fight at all. Both these guys have been off the radar. I have no idea what happened. Trump is most likely going to lose. It's almost official. And Colby himself has fallen off the MMA map. In terms of, I don't follow Colby. I don't know if you do, but I haven't heard a word from him in terms of MMA
Well, it's weird
stuff.
though because him and Jorge are pretty big Trump supporters, right? So
I don't know if Jorge is.
Jorge is a big Trump supporter, humongous.
Yeah. Anyways, let's not get into politics,
Yeah.
but both these guys have been off the map. I haven't seen or heard much of them in the MMA world. They've been brought up in press conferences to Dana, questions about, oh, what do you think Jorge and Colby should be fighting and whatnot. Dana hasn't shown interest in that fight in terms of saying like, oh yeah, that's a good fight. Oh, we're looking into that, blah 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 blah. So that fight is not on the map. I wanted more to see I wanted to see more into your insight. What do you think Jorge does from here next, and what does Colby do here from next?
Well, Colby just came off the fight with Woodley, right? Where he absolutely
Destroyed him,
Woodley, right? With that, with the rib pop in the end, almost, right? It was pure disruption. But I think with Colby, I think he wants to fight against a Kamaru again, right? So he wants that first. Jorge, I think Jorge and Diaz will probably cross paths again. I think we'll see that one more time before.
So
Jorge.
that fight was rumored to be actually confirmed, the Nate versus Jorge rematch.
Yeah.
But then another fight came into the mix where it was maybe Colby and Jorge, but neither one of them have been finalized. I have no idea what's going on. Jorge went and made his big dollars from the Kamaru Usman Fight Island short notice fight, and completely disappeared from the map.
But you see
currently.
with Jorge, I think he's the kind of guy where he wants to fight whoever has the most hype like at the moment, right? We saw it with Ben Askren. I think potentially, the big potentially, we could see him versus Khamzat. I would love to see that Jorge versus Khamzat. If Khamzat wins a few more fights, and if Jorge is like if he's inactive for for a little bit longer, it would be a cool fight to see.
I think those two guys are going to be kept separate. I don't think they'll cross paths.
You don't think so?
I think Chimaev is going to be more on the route of going for the title, and Jorge is going to go more on the route of big money fights and hype fights, like you said.
Yeah.
So Jorge will be targeted again more around the Nate fight against Colby.
We see Connor fight
maybe Connor. Yeah, Connor if Connor loses. Those kind of fights, or maybe a rematch with Kamaru after one of those fights goes through and he wins. I don't think Chimaev will be in that type of conversation, because he's kind of he lives in his own kind of bubble, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like this guy that is this new hype. There's so much hype behind him, so much support. There's so much support behind him as well. So. He's more of like, let's get this guy to the top and to the championship, than rather than Jorge, which he's more of the like, oh, I'm a badass and
he's a cash cow
fight anybody.
of the UFC right now.
Yeah, so he's more of that alley and that aisle and whatever you want to say, and. Chimaev's on the other end. Potentially they could fight, but I don't really see that connection. For me, I think Jorge, the fight the next fight that makes sense is Nate. But the problem with the Nate fight is these Diaz brothers. They come on and then they come on the map and then they leave the map. That's the story of the word of the story.
They might be. What? Honestly, yeah, but the issue with that fight is that like they're trying to push that fight again, but even after the first fight, man, it was pure destruction in the rounds that actually took place before the stoppage. It was all Jorge on the ground, on the feet, everything, right? So like, do you really want to see that again? I'm not sure. Personally, I wouldn't want to see it again.
I don't necessarily have that much hype towards it. It is an interesting fight. I wouldn't mind seeing it again. But in terms of like getting excited, not necessarily.
I say we push Nate away. We bring back Nick Diaz.
Nick Diaz. See, the problem is that these Diaz brothers do what they please. So they don't buy to any time schedule or anything like that. There was reports of Nick Diaz getting into shape, and that he was confirmed going to fight either the end of this year or the beginning of next year. I forget what it was.
It was end of this year against Jorge. It was supposed to be happening, but
I don't know if it was against Jorge. I think it was maybe somebody else. But he gets in the news and then he disappears. He gets in the news and he disappears. So I try not to put too much weight on these news, because these guys, a lot of times it's either miscommunication, made up reports, or just them like saying it and then changing their mind. Their camp says it and then they change their mind. So I don't think just to go back to Jorge and the Nate Diaz fight, I don't think it does as big of numbers. But if you go back to the fight, you can hear Nate talk about it in terms of what actually happened. What his reasoning was that he just trained differently for this fight. His game plan just didn't work. He wanted to take the beginning slow. No, sorry. He wanted to go all out in the beginning and then outlast Jorge. It was something strange. I forget what it was. So, but essentially what he was saying was that his game plan just didn't work. And then you saw what happened. So Jorge went and just ran through him and beat him without stoppage.
Especially on the ground as well, that was an impressive performance by Jorge.
Yeah, it wasn't really a grappling ground fight. It was just a ground and pound, just Jorge imposing as well. I wouldn't mind seeing that. And the second fight is Colby, but the problem with the Colby fight is, I think Colby would just take him down. If you look at videos of, so Colby and Jorge used to be best friends or like training partners. Colby used to he used to sleep on his couch for a very long time, and he would help him out. Jorge would help Colby out as his journey progressed in the MMA world. If you look at all these videos, Colby is taking down Jorge at will. Like, Jorge cannot compare his grappling to Colby's grappling. So what makes me fearful is what Colby does is that he's standing on the feet. He realizes that he can't really eat all these shots, because the last time he did that, it was against Usman, and Usman broke his jaw. Right after a certain amount of time, your body breaks down. So what he'll do is that he'll feel his power and decide to take him down, because he knows that he can take him down. From there, he just beats him up, wears him down, and then rinse and repeats for the rest of the fight. A decision win by Colby.